Pac-12, ESPN. Hey, everybody's saying they're going to be involved in some way, shape, or form. What have you heard about any talks if then?
Well, Andrew Marchand of the New York Post reported today that basically ESPN was no longer in serious discussions with the Pac-12. Dennis Dodd had reported that also actually 2 or 3 weeks ago when the Pac-12 were having their spring meetings. And then the Athletic reported just the opposite. I've been told for a couple months that ESPN would not be part of the Pac-12 at the amount the Pac-12 wants. So in theory, I guess ESPN could have some kind of Pac-12 relationship, but it's not going to be for the money the Pac-12 is seeking. So the question is, how low will the Pac-12 go? ESPN is not going to overbid for this. If anything, they're going to underbid with all the financial issues they're having with layoffs and also trying to, figure out how much they want to have going forward, whether it's the NBA, NFL. Certainly the 12-team college football playoff is going to cost a lot. So, everything I've heard kind of mirrors what Dennis and Andrew have been reporting, in that ESPN will not be the primary partner for the Pac-12 unless you get to the point where the Pac-12 is so desperate where ESPN can get the Pac-12 for pennies on the dollar.
Yeah, and that makes complete sense, which puts them in a tough spot. You also wrote a really terrific article on the Magnificent Seven. Jim Phillips has nothing to do with any problems that they have. He's the one that's in charge of solving it. What is a solution, or are they even close to that?
I was hoping you'd tell me.
Yeah.
Because then I could tell Jim. Yeah. I mean, they're just in a bad spot. I mean, they really are, and it's everyone wants to blame Jim Phillips. It's not his fault. He didn't create this. But then also, everyone's saying, well, John Swofford put him in this position. He did, but if people, they have selective memories. When this happened back in 2016, the ACC got the grant of rights. They got a 20-year deal. They got a 20-year deal to keep the conference together. At that point, the Big 12 was, a possibility for Florida State. They had Board of Regent members saying that Florida State wanted to go to the Big 12. It was right around when Maryland had went to the Big 10. And so basically the ACC, did this grant of rights deal. They got an ACC network, which is a huge thing back then. And I kept the conference together. That was the good news. The bad news is it's a 20-year deal. And, looking back at it, everyone's, 2020 vision, but, did the ACC really need a network? Well, they felt like they did because the Big Ten had one, the SEC had one. So now you sign a 20-year grant of rights, and as I wrote, the other day, basically to sum up the position the ACC's in right now, we can look at the wise words of that great historian Meatloaf from Paradise by the Dashboard Light. I swear I'll love you till the end of time, and now I'm praying for the end of time. So that's kind of the situation the ACC schools are in, because the Magnificent Seven, which I called them, they all would leave in a heartbeat to get an opportunity to play in the Big Ten or the SEC. More specifically, get the money that they would get by being in the Big Ten or the SEC.
So my question would be then, Brett, is that if you are a TV network, what is the impetus for you to give more money if you already have deals that have a set number on them? Because we know the Big Ten has some clause in it about Notre Dame, but nobody else.
Well, what specific network or conferences are you talking about? Because it's different for everyone.
Right. Well, the Big Ten would be the one that has the clause in it.
Yeah. So if you're the Big Ten, you've got 16 schools right now. Obviously, next year with SC and UCLA coming on board. So the question is, can you increase you already decided you're going to be a national conference. So if you could get into, Oregon, I reported Oregon and Washington have been vetted and approved if the Big Ten wants to go that way. Do you go west? Do you hope that somebody from the ACC climbs over the wall and gets out of the grant of rights? We won't know until somebody tries to do it. But if you're the Big Ten and you can get into the state of Florida, I'm sure that would increase the amount of your TV deal per school. Now, I'm just not talking overall value, but I'm talking after you add in the new members, after you divide the pie up. If it's a bigger piece of pie than you had with a 16-team league, then that would be the incentive to move forward. The unknown is, what does Fox, what does Fox's numbers tell them, CBS, NBC? What does the Big Ten tell them? The Nebraska, I'm sure you saw the stuff. I tweeted it.
Yes.
The Omaha World Herald reported. Basically he's the first one that's come out and said, yeah, there's going to be more expansion. I give him credit. He's being honest. He's saying what everybody's saying privately, but to hear it from a university president, I think it even adds more credibility. But the question is, if you're the Big Ten, how big do you want to go? Where do you want to go? And ultimately, they're not going to do nobody has added any teams to make less money. So if they can't make more money, then they'll stay at 16. But if it's worth more money, again, per school, then I think the Big Ten would go to 18, go to 20. Mm-hmm. Let's get 5 or 10 years down the road, I think they'll be at 24. So will the SEC. But I think the SEC is going to hold pat at 16 unless the Big Ten decides they're going to expand beyond 16. Then I think the SEC would match them. And then it could get fascinating if you're into these sort of things with teams like North Carolina or maybe even a Virginia, where both the SEC and Big Ten would really want possibly both of those universities because they're not currently in states that they're located. And you could get, a weird kind of bidding war for those schools if any of the schools from the ACC are able to get out before 2036.
Because North Carolina and Virginia happen to be AAU schools, and Florida State, for example, is not. And we've, at least in the past, Big Ten presidents have valued that above all. But is this more unpredictable now because there are 8 new Big Ten presidents?
It really is. And also, and I know Kevin Warren's no longer the commissioner there, but I spoke to Kevin at Big Ten Media Day last year, and I asked him point blank, is it a requirement for any new members to be AAU members? And he told me no. He's no longer the commissioner. Has that stance changed? I don't know. I don't have that answer. I'll try to find that out this July when I get a chance to talk to the new commissioner. But I think you're onto something. That it is a different environment. I think they're going to look at things differently. And the tricky thing Florida State's a huge brand. No matter what their success is on the field, they're still a huge brand. There's a reason that they're opening up Sunday night prime time against LSU. They're a big TV draw. So with Florida State, I was talking about, and you mentioned Carolina and Virginia, AAU schools, and Florida State's not. If you gave Greg Sankey, the SEC commissioner, truth serum and said, do you want to add Florida State, Miami, he'd say no. But then if you still had some left over and said, okay, well, what if the Big Ten is going to add Florida State, Miami? What are your thoughts on Florida State, Miami then? I think at that point the SEC may say, we don't really want those guys because we already have the University of Florida. We're fine in the state of Florida. But we also don't want our biggest competitors to come into the state either. And so that's where this whole thing's going to get fascinating when when and if some of these guys get out of the ACC is kind of the jockeying for position between the Big Ten and the SEC on some of these potential members, because they're the ones. They're the we're no longer the Power Five. We're the Power Two, the Middle Three, and the Group Five. So those two leagues will determine where all the pieces are moved on the board, if you will, kind of like the old game of risk.
Where is Brett Yormark of the Big 12 in all of this, in your opinion?
He'd love to add some Power 5 schools, but it takes two to tango. I think we'll know something by July 1st if Colorado or Arizona decide that they want to leave the Pac-12. I think we would know that by July 1st. If they decide to stay in the Pac-12, if the Pac-12 can't sign a grant of rights, if Oregon and Washington are still in the Pac-12, then the Big 12 has a decision to make. Do they want to go after some Group of 5 schools? It'd be quicker to tell you who they haven't talked to be honest, than list everyone they have talked to. The reason for getting them is you're getting someone at a lower value. That you bring them on board, they'll increase value, they'll hopefully pay off for you. The flip side of that is you can get these same teams a year from now. So why do anything now? So I think Yormark is gonna wait to see what happens if anybody leaves the Pac-12. Certainly they would extend an olive branch, and if getting a couple of years further down the road, if some of these schools in the ACC get out and there's a way out of the grant of rights, and then it's a mass exodus out of the ACC, then certainly I think the Big 12 would make a pitch to any schools that were not picked up by the Big 10 and the SEC to kind of join forces with the Big 12. And at that point, you'd have the Big 2, you'd have the Big 12 with, 14, 16, 18, whatever members they could get. And then if all of that had happened, then basically the Pac-12 would have merged or joined forces with the Mountain West. The ACC, whatever's left over, would have kind of taken teams from the American or whatever. So then you'd kind of have the Big 2, whatever the Big 12 would be, and then whatever's left of the conferences in whatever fashion that may be.
Yeah, because to me, with the NBA rights up and the college football playoff rights coming up, I see networks saving money to make the big bets.
And the biggest and baddest of all, and that's the NFL.
Yeah, in the NFL, right? I mean, that's where they want to put their money. And those rights are coming up. So that's why I'm wondering how much money is left for everybody else. Well, Brett, it is always a pleasure because you always have great information, but that's always been your MO.
Well, I appreciate that. I'm just glad I got to, watch the Meatloaf video this past week and make sure I had the lyrics right.
That was the best line of the article, by the way. I loved it. So, thanks so much.
Twitter, I know you got to go. Twitter's so great because you always have funny responses. I forgot the one Meatloaf song, I would do anything for love, but I won't do that. I guess I should have thrown that in there, too, for the ACC.
Well, at least you slipped it in on this show, and that's good. Hey,
so all you youngsters out there, go Google Meatloaf, Dashboard, Paradise by the Dashboard Light. You'll enjoy it.
Speaking of the ability to handle routine to difficult, we bring in Joe Putnam. Sir, welcome.
Hello, sir. It's great to be able to talk with you less than 2 weeks from State College Spikes opening night.
Yes, opening night. Season 17 of the State College Spikes. Joe, I want to start with the ballpark itself. We're not going to get into all the details about the ballpark, but let's get into the parts that have been, I think, released to everybody. Because as time goes, let's face it, the ballpark is now coming up on what will be its 17th birthday in terms of, and 18th on groundbreaking. 18th on groundbreaking. So in the off season, what are some things right away, and this is stuff that's been released to the public to this point, that they want to at least do to make the experience better?
Well, we've got a lot of facility upgrades coming to the ballpark. I think people have seen that certain projects are up for bids out there. All of them will start after this season, this coming spike season. But we're very excited about it. There's facility standards that Major League Baseball has for ballparks, and so we are upgrading all of our facilities, not only those down in the player level, the clubhouse level, but everywhere around the ballpark, so it makes the best experience possible for our fans, for our players, for our coaches, for everybody involved here going forward. We're looking forward to a bright future ahead, not only for the Spikes, but also for Penn State baseball. These upgrades are going to go for them as well. So we're very excited about them. It'll take place here over a few years. I do know the field replacement, which is coming to pass in the fall, many other things. There's all sorts of things people will see that in 2024 and beyond will make for a even better experience here at the ballpark than they already have. And we're very excited about them and looking forward to partnering with Penn State as we do on getting these implemented, and again, just making for the best experience possible for baseball fans across Happy Valley.
And by the way, just so everybody knows, there's a lot of other elements that will go in that you, the fan, will not see, but it's all to bring it to Major League Baseball standards. And when that finally all comes out, we'll talk about it then. Fair enough?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah. All right, so now let's get to the MLB Draft League. This is another year of the MLB Draft League, but it's about not just the baseball. Baseball is, hey, one of the reasons we go to the ballpark and have a great time with it, but it's everything else that goes with it. Let's start with some of the great promotions, starting with opening night on June the 2nd.
Absolutely. We're trying to kick this off strong. We've got 40 home games, which matches the most we've ever had in a regular season. We're doing our best to make this the best and biggest season we've ever had here. And it starts on opening night, June the 2nd, Friday night, 6:35, taking on the Williamsport Crosscutters here at Medler Field. It all starts off with a great fireworks show to finish off the night. But not only that, all of our fireworks shows are themed this year. The opening night, the salute to baseball music, but the skies will light up over Happy Valley, and also post-game, we'll have the $25,000 opening night pitching challenge, where one fan, everybody can enter, and one fan will be selected to go down on the field after the game, head to the mound, and try to throw one pitch through the target at home plate for $25,000, 6 inches in diameter. But, of course, there's major league pitchers that can hit that. Now, I will say this. I've done the research. The Max Scherzers, the Justin Verlanders, even the Shohei Ohtanis don't make as much on a per-pitch basis as one fan could by winning $25,000 on opening night next Friday.
By the way, just so everybody understands, the Max Scherzers, the Shohei Ohtanis, and so forth, they get a lot of their strikes on pitches that aren't strikes. That's right. Why do you think some of the swing them in? That wasn't in the zone. Why did they swing at that one? All right. That's really cool. I love that. I do want to advance to July 3rd.
Oh, yeah.
That is not going to be your average fireworks display after the game that you see at the ballpark. Is that fair?
No, sir. Oh, yeah. We've got a dozen fireworks shows this year, but that one is going to be one of the biggest we've ever had here at a Spikes game. July the 3rd, it's the Patriotic Fireworks Spectacular presented by the PA Lottery. And, of course, we have great fireworks shows here. We're going to have one opening night thanks to our friends at PSCCU. But July 3rd, the Patriotic Fireworks Spectacular, you're going to see things you've never seen at a Spikes fireworks show before. And so we are looking very much forward to that. It's going to be about a 20-minute show that'll just dazzle fans after the July 3rd game, which should be a big one as well. It's actually our last home game of the first half of the season before we switch around the players, and I'm sure we'll talk about that coming up here. But that July 3rd Patriotic Fireworks Spectacular, again, one of the biggest fireworks shows we've ever had at a Spikes home game, and you don't want to miss it.
In fact, it's interesting you bring that up about the changeover. In the past, the changeover has happened after about a week off in the season. That's not going to happen this time. It's only going to be 2 days off. And I think that's an interesting aspect because I think it keeps the fan engaged because there's not a week off.
Exactly. And that's kind of what working with Prep Baseball Report that runs the Major League Baseball Draft League and MLB themselves. That's kind of the philosophy behind it. Last year was the first year of our hybrid model, where the first half of the season would feature draft-eligible prospects entering the draft. They are amateur players per NCAA rules, trying to keep their collegiate eligibility if they had any remaining. And then the second half was young professional players looking to get a break with an MLB team, of which there have been several. Of course, Nick Guile now with the Colorado Rockies, John Beamer and the Milwaukee Brewers organization. So it certainly, I think, was successful last year. But like you said, we had that break in between. Now there won't be. July 4th, when we will visit Williamsport, and of course the Central PA Fourth Fest will go on around here. That'll be the last day of the first half of the season. Yeah. Then the second half begins, the first game July 7th. And so we're very much looking forward to it. We're right back here. That'll be a big game as well. It'll be fitness night, dollar dog challenge, meet the challenge, we're calling it on that night. But we're right back into it with a whole new roster of young pros looking to get a break. And it'll be last year was split evenly, 40 games first half, 40 games second half. This year it'll be a breakdown of 30 and 50. That kind of keeps in line with other summer collegiate leagues. But of course, we're looking at getting draft-eligible prospects from around the country. And we had a dozen guys drafted last year. Looking forward to seeing who gets their name called during the draft, which will take place during the Major League All-Star break once again this year, while in the meantime starting up our second half of the season and getting even more guys ready to make that jump on their baseball journey.
To this point of the Major League Baseball season, Joe, the fans have reacted very well to the rules changes that have been put into play on the Major League Baseball level. What rule changes will we see in the MLB Draft League that might mirror Major League Baseball?
Well, the two big ones you're going to see, and the biggest one of all, of course, is the pitch timer. It is coming here to Medler Field at Lebrano Park. It's going to be implemented for collegiate baseball, the visible clock itself across collegiate baseball in Division I starting next year. Yep. Now, for us here in the MLB Draft League, this is the first year of it, but we're very excited about it. It's sort of that wave. You see it now in the majors. You've seen it across minor league baseball for a few years already. Now you're going to see it here at Medler Field during Spikes home games. And we are going to implement the collegiate pitch clock rule. Won't be necessarily the same as the one you see in the majors. Ours will be 20 seconds, no matter who's on base. That'll be the collegiate rule. Makes for an easier transition for some of these pitchers. But we will, we'll have timed half innings. The batter will have to get up there with 30 seconds left between innings. We'll have 2 minutes to get on and off the field. So things will definitely progress a lot more quickly than they have in the past. And so it's something for folks to keep in mind, too. Our game times will be 6:35. You'll probably want to be there as close to that as you can in order so that you don't miss out on a lot of the game. But it definitely is something that we're looking forward to seeing implemented in the MLB Draft League. The other thing that's coming to the MLB Draft League is the 18-inch, the bigger bases that you see now in the majors as well. So Matt Neary and his crew will be installing those. The pitch clocks will be installed here at Medler Field at Lebrano Park in the coming days as well. So it's very exciting stuff. Now, we won't necessarily adopt the anti-shift rules, but that, a lot of that is done anyway through the managers, the coaches, the developmental aspect of the game. But those are the two big ones: the pitch clock, the bigger bases. But we're very excited about that, and we're trying to give these guys as much of a major league experience as possible. That's why State College Spikes. That's why Medler Field at Lebrano Park is in this league, and this just helps us make that more of a big league experience for them as they start their baseball journey. Hopefully, eventually to the major league.
And by the way, it should be pointed out the last couple of years of the MLB Draft League, I don't recall a single shift. Do you? I think everybody's just. I think the reason there is no rule in the MLB Draft League is because nobody is shifting.
Yes, exactly, and I think it's part of the developmental aspect
right.
of it too. I mean, we're trying to put these together. Anything like that, the word can just go to the coaching staffs, and I think a lot of the coaching staffs would agree that the shift makes it a lot more difficult, and making it that you have to play straight away makes for a much better game and a much better game.
Well, not only that, Joe, if they're not going to shift on the major league level, a shortstop and a second baseman, which are important to shifting, are going to have to play in those spots anyway, so that's the best way to showcase their talents.
Exactly. So that definitely goes a long way to making this a major league type experience. And these guys are going to be learning in a lot of different aspects what it's like to play professional baseball, to be in that major league atmosphere, to go through a major league organization. And it's all of a piece on the field, obviously very important, even off the field as well. And we're looking forward to. I know that Dave Tremblay is back as our manager, former big league manager himself, and he definitely has the know-how to show these guys what it's like to be a big leaguer on and off.
And that's the key, on and off the field. Dave stresses professionalism all the time. This is how big leaguers carry themselves. You need to carry yourself this way as well. And this, by the way, we were talking about all these rules. Keep in mind, to our good friends in Williamsport who also listen to this show, these are the same rules you'll be having in Williamsport as well. Bigger bases, pitch clock. And by the way, I think, Joe, before it's all said and done, the major leagues actually might adopt 20 seconds universally, because that has been the one thing that the pitchers in Major League Baseball have been trying to tweak. Give us 5 more seconds when nobody's on base, because they want to save arms.
Oh, absolutely. And I think partially that's why collegiate rules are just 20 seconds, no matter what. Batter has to be alert to the pitcher by 10. It's definitely made an impact at the collegiate level. It's made an impact at the major league level, for sure. So it'll definitely make an impact on us, and hopefully in a very crowd-pleasing way. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, exactly right. No, and I think you'll see more stolen bases, because it's not just the bases are 4 inches larger. Okay, remember, everybody will say, well, second base is 4 inches larger. Well, so is first base, which means you can get a little slightly bigger lead. I mean, there's it works on both ends. It's going to put a lot of stress on the catchers.
Yes, it will. But I mean, I'll bring up a name you were very familiar with, but Kenny Piper.
Kenny Piper would have no issue.
No issue whatsoever. And we'll see. We'll have some. We've got some catching prospects here that are pretty bright. I know we have a very preliminary list of guys who could be coming here, and some of the catching prospects look very bright. But they all do across the board. Folks from major schools, folks from schools you don't hear about all that definitely are looking to make their mark, like a Kenny Piper, who came from Missouri in Division II school in Missouri 2 years ago and played his way into the Major League Baseball draft. So we're looking forward to seeing who those will be in the upcoming 2023 season, which is coming next Friday, June 2nd, here opening night. Yeah,
exactly. And by the way, I've said this for years. I don't think anybody does a better job of finding people than baseball does. I mean, all over the place. So, Joe, opening week, right? There'll be a Sunday game at Williamsport, but opening week it's all spikes, and that includes promotions and also daily values.
Yes, indeed. And it starts right off. Opening night is a 4 for $44 Friday. 4 of our best seats, 4 hot dogs, 4 sodas, just $44. It's a value of up to $88 that you're getting for $44, and that is in force for opening night on Friday. Also a schedule magnet giveaway thanks to our friends at PSECU, so you don't miss a game in the 2023 season. We're back home the very next night, Saturday, June the 3rd, also taking on Williamsport, a Queen and Elton John themed fireworks show after the game. It's presented by Penn State Health. We've also got a Super Saturday, which means baseball bingo, and the first 500 fans can get a Pride hat giveaway presented by Chumley's Cocktail Bar. It's Pride Night at the ballpark as well, so big opening weekend. And then we get into Monday the 5th, Tuesday the 6th, Wednesday the 7th, Wednesday the 7th actually is going to be a special one. It's grad night at the ballpark. Wear your cap and gown. We got a lot of graduations going on here over these coming weeks. If you bring your cap and gown and wear it into the ballpark, you get half price on your ticket for the game. And we've got a lot more. Monday the 5th is another Buck Monday, which means dollar hot dogs plus a whole host of other dollar items at the ballpark. And, of course, a timeless Tuesday on the 6th. And then it rolls right into the 9th, 10th, 11th. You got the first Bark in the Park night of the year.
Yeah.
Bring your K9 on 6/9, 7/9, 8/9, and 8/29. Hopefully those will be easy dates to remember for your Bark in the Park nights. You can bring your K9 on 6/9, 7/9, 8/9, and 8/29. And we've got great fireworks, Healthcare Appreciation Night presented by our good friends at Curavetti, formerly Med1 Pro. Mm-hmm. And actually an interesting one on Sunday the 11th. We are looking to break the world record for the most simultaneous first pitches, and that will be something to behold, I'm sure. You know, the folks at Missoula tried to do it last year, and we're going to try to do it this year. The current record from Guinness is a team in Taiwan that did it a few years back. We're going to try to break it, and we're looking at 150, hopefully, folks coming on out to throw a first pitch simultaneously on the field, and so it'll be definitely a sight to behold. That'll be on June the 11th. That's a Sunday. That's our first 405 game of the year. But like you said, that's 8 games right there. That's about a quarter of our home schedule right off the bat. But we're excited for it, and we're excited to bring fun, affordable family entertainment to the State College Spikes fans across Happy Valley, and even the folks who are coming in from out of town. We've got a great product for you.
Yeah, no question about it. And by the way, the Pirates scouts will be on hand for those first pitches. I mean, it's just it's kind of spiraled off the rails. All right, so and by the way, the one day you didn't mention is Thursday, and that because well, I'll be in Scranton that Thursday, but when you get to Thursday games, it's still Thirsty Thursday.
Yes, indeed, it's still Thirsty Thursday, but we're going back a little bit. You know, well, you can buck inflation with us on Thursday nights because dollar beer nights are back.
Yeah.
$1 12-ounce domestic drafts, or select drafts, and $2 12-ounce craft drafts available Thirsty Thursday. But you can get those dollar beers once again on Thirsty Thursdays. As Dollar Beer Night returns at each Thursday home game this season.
Well, it doesn't, just so everybody knows, it doesn't matriculate to the booth. This Dollar Beer Night's great. It's like, oh, geez, what are we doing? Joe, you're the best. Thanks so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Steve. Looking forward to being back with you once again. Our 15th season together.
Yeah.
And it all started up for us and for everybody here at Medler Field on June 2nd. A quick jaunt to Williamsport on the 1st before we open things up here in Happy Valley, and very much looking forward to it less than 2 weeks away.